Hey guys, what's up? It's Schway. Surprise, we have two episodes in the same week. This is episode 5. I will be doing a review of the new film Iron Claw, all about the Von Erich family. I got reached out to by someone from A24 about going to the DC showing. So I went to the early showing with my guy Ed from the band Teen Mortgage. If you haven't checked them out, really dope punk band. They're doing a lot of cool stuff. We'll get into that a little bit. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, share, rate, all that stuff with this podcast. It really does help spread the word, and I hope you guys enjoy. All right, hey guys, coming from the Iron Claw premiere that I just went to go see with my guy Ed from the, am I allowed to say hit upcoming band Teen Mortgage, or how do I preface all the stuff, the cool shit you're doing right now?
I don't really even know how to break that down. I think that's more exposition than I usually give myself.
Oh, okay. Well, I figured it was worth mentioning something, guys. Definitely go check them out on Spotify if you haven't seen Teen Mortgage yet, but I've definitely been playing a lot of your stuff in my streams. Shameless plug. But
I could plug myself throughout the episode to make up for it. For my underwhelming intro for myself.
Yeah, definitely. We just came from Iron Claw. I randomly got reached out to by a rep from A24 about going to see it, so I hit up Ed. We went in to see it, and I have to say I thought it was pretty good. I mean, expectations I thought were pretty high after the Dark Side of the Ring episode, but I really did think it was a good movie. How about yourself?
I thought it was good. We took opposite strategies going into the movie. I had seen the Dark Side of the Ring episode, but I specifically did not revisit it before seeing the movie because I kind of wanted to approach it with a little bit more of a clean slate.
Yeah, I actually recently rewatched it with my godson. Pretty much when the trailer came out, I watched it with him, and there's definitely some key details they left out in the movie that they actually had in the documentary. I felt like, for example, some of the timing in terms of like the deaths of the brothers was a little, not how I remembered it in the documentary. Having said that, they only had so much time to really put it together for a whole movie,
Yeah. Do you want to go like chronologically through the movie, just kind of like first impressions?
Yeah, I mean, this is my first movie review, so it's like I'm pretty open to whatever, man.
Ooh, and what should we say? Maybe spoiler alerts or?
Oh yeah, damn, we didn't even do that. I already gave a spoiler alert. Having said that, like,
well, I think everyone, like, people should know that there's some tragedy involved in this movie.
Like, if you didn't, people couldn't spoil the Titanic movie. The ship's going down regardless. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, people can Wikipedia this shit,
Unless, like, Quentin Tarantino directed it, then the ship might not go down.
That is true. Yeah. It not really, or an M. Night Shyamalan, maybe it was all a lie. But I think the main thing that people, at least people I know, would want to know based off of like what I've heard from, my customer base on Whatnot and various friends I've spoken to is what kind of role MJF played in this. Because I thought he was going to be in it a lot more than he actually was. It was very, very limited in terms of how much he was going to be in it.
It was great. We still popped for it though.
Oh no, you just see him and you see the face and you see the punum. You just see his face right there and you're like, oh, okay, there's Max. You
see the abdominal definition and you're like, that's MJF.
Oh yeah, and then Ryan Nemeth was in it longer than he was, which you corrected me because I thought it was Nick. I keep forgetting the real names, but the Hollywood hunk, regardless, was in it for longer than MJF was.
Yeah, he was pretty recognizable.
Yeah. No, I thought he did a good job though.
Yeah.
I thought he did a good job. Overall, I mean...
was he playing...
He's playing Gino Hernandez.
Oh, okay.
Which is funny how they have a white blonde dude playing Gino Hernandez, but I thought he did a pretty good job, all things considered. I thought, surprisingly, Zac Efron, I thought, did a pretty good job overall.
Yeah, I didn't realize that Zac was going to be the centerpiece of the movie as far as like characters, because when I've seen promos, it's been very kind of equally representative of the brothers.
Yeah.
So it was a good surprise to see him taking the lead. I think he was strong in it.
Yeah, I think he did a good job having, as good a job as he did. I keep forgetting the guy's name, but the dude from The Bear who played Carrie, I think you can just tell he's...
Jeremy Allen White?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, he's been pretty stellar in I think most things I've seen of him.
Oh, dude, he was great in Iron Claw. I thought he did a great job as Carrie.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite. Job. And the dad, too. I forgot the dad's name. He was in, Mindhunters on Netflix. And that dad, I mean, I will say they didn't pull, well, I guess they did pull some punches, but they did not make the Von Erich parents look that great in this movie, I will say.
Yeah, we kind of debriefed on them in the subway on the way back, where you were saying it's not like he was portrayed in like a positive light, but I was kind of just saying, oh, it's maybe more just indicative of like that kind of parenting style within that decade, and like kind of like, you know, the I want what's best for my kids thing, and, you know, more of a paternal kind of overprotective, I know what's the best kind of situation versus being like the villain.
Well, yeah, it seems like a lot of the problems they got into in the movie, I feel like were portrayed as kind of being, you know, based off of decisions almost forced upon them by their father. You know, it seemed like they mentioned that even in there, where it's like, I never got my NWA title. Having said that, they didn't mention that Fritz used to have a Nazi gimmick. They kind of glossed over that in the movie, which I understand. But the whole thing was, he's like, man, I never got my NWA title. And he's vicariously living through his children to try to reach that goal.
In all fairness, they could have had him have the title as like a heel.
No, true.
It's just a little hard to explain that. Be like, why does this Nazi have the belt?
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, it would have looked terrible, obviously. And, you know, I get it. It's wrestling, guys. So, you know, we suspend disbelief a little bit. But that really seemed to be the core of a lot of the family's problems, was the fact that he just kept trying to chase that proverbial dragon of getting the one that got away, whether it's regardless of what child. And one of my favorite parts in the whole movie was early on when he's talking about ranking his children, and the whole crowd just started cackling as he started ranking his kids on stream, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah. And then the kids were like, no, that's how he does it.
Yeah, right. Hey, I mean, Deion Sanders does the same thing. So it's just, you know, I'm glad my parents didn't do that. Having said that, maybe I would have been NWA world champion if they had.
It's a possibility.
Yeah.
We'll get in Billy's DMs about that.
Oh, yeah.
There's still time.
There's still time. Well, I mean, guys, you know, fun fact, the random plugging, Ed is going to be going on tour with Smashing Pumpkins and Weezer, so we'll try to see if he can ask Billy about the Coke spot. If there's a good time, obviously we're not trying to hurt his small business, so he's only going to ask when it makes sense, and probably the last date of the tour, so they can't get kicked off.
Yeah, probably
would be my guess, and I'm hoping maybe you can do some music for them.
Like I said, full disclosure, it's like I'm not really sure where our rank is, or even if I'll even see the other bands, but there's a good chance we might.
Well, in fairness to you, no one in AEW knows their rank anymore either, so you're not the only one who doesn't know where your rank is, in fairness.
Either way, I get to go play those shows, then I get to go watch those bands every night for a few nights in a row.
And you get paid.
Yeah, it'll probably go mostly back into our touring party. But
hey, I mean, whatever, man.
It's not the point. I love doing it.
Yeah, there you go. So,
I think so if we're talking about like notable parts of the movie, you know, maybe we just talk about Zac Efron a little bit more. Like that was you know, always impressive, the conditioning that guy comes into a role with. I will say, I think the man was a little too diced for the timing.
Yo, I was going to say, he looks if you look at pictures of Kevin Von Erich, Zach looks way too shredded to be playing. Like, if anything, he looked more set up like Carrie than Kevin.
We call that dick skin shredded.
Oh my god.
Where the skin's thin and veiny.
Oh my, dude, that first scene, he's waking up out of bed, and he's like, dude, you know, popping out. I'm like, bro, like, this man jacked his shit and he's just waking up. I'm like, man, it kind of slightly took me out of his role. I'm not going to lie. The fact that he was like too jacked, because I know what Kevin looks like.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, I'm like, it doesn't look. Having said that, I thought he did a great job in the role. I thought the guy who played Michael, the fourth brother, I was kind of on, but everyone else seemed pretty good. Carrie was great. The dad was great. And, you know, it was funny seeing some of the representation of vintage wrestlers on there cutting promo. The guy whoever they had playing Ric Flair, not a fan. But
oh yeah, Ric Flair, Proximity was that one. Again, this is the thing we go into it as wrestling fans.
right.
We can't, we have familiarity with these characters.
You can't separate it, man.
Yeah, I mean, Ric Flair is such an iconic character that's one where I feel like wrestling fans are gonna really pick it apart because it's like
You're right.
he's Ric Flair's crossed over into like mainstream
Exactly.
recognizability. That's not the word
No.
I'm looking for.
Ric Flair is pop culture. Ric Flair goes beyond just being a wrestler. When you say woo, people know what you're doing. You know what I mean? People know about Rick. I would say they should have gotten someone better to play Rick. I really did enjoy, though, the guy they got to play Harley Race.
Yeah, he seemed really, really.
He
like,
looked
close.
the part. Yeah,
like,
he's about as close as you're going to get comparatively to everyone else. Whoever they got to play Bruiser Brody was pretty funny.
he was really short.
Yeah, he's too
Yeah,
short,
like-
and it's for someone like you know, for us. And I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I've watched like endless older wrestling, but I know enough to know that Brody was a huge monster, and whoever they had was not a huge monster.
Yeah, Brody was a unit. Like that's what got him over in Japan. Was he was like they liked big burly boys over there. I mean, I don't know how tall was Brody? Probably like 6'4" or something like that.
I mean, he was a former football player too. The man was a tank. So
I'm always we always have the technology, so I'm gonna look it up while we're talking here because I want to know.
Oh yeah, I mean, you might as well use what you can use.
He was 6'8". I sold him short by like 4 inches.
No, that guy wasn't even. I don't know. I'd be shocked if the man was even 6 feet.
Granted, this could have been build height, but he still was probably really big.
Oh no, the guy they had looked the same height as everyone else, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. Some of the wrestlers castings were interesting. Even like, you know, when you see MJF, I was hoping he might have a speaking role or something, but he comes in, he's wrestling, you immediately can tell, like you said, you can tell it's him, all the mannerisms, all everything, just wearing a goofy wig, a goofy blonde wig.
Yep.
You know, kind of took me out of it a little bit.
It was a full out MJF like cameo, and that you look at it, you're like, oh, that's MJF.
Oh yeah, no, and the whole
that's MJF in that time period.
well, the whole movie, I'm kind of just waiting for MJF because I'm like, I want to see where he is. You know, I'm an AEW fan. I'm an MJF fan. I want to see where he is. I've been, you know, curious about where he's going to be in this movie this whole time, and it was such kind of a throwaway scene.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see. You're the one that informed me that he had such a big presence on set that they actually gave him like executive producer.
And we waited.
Credit.
We waited till the end. They actually had it at the end. It said executive producer Maxwell Jacob Freeman. Hopefully, being an EVP works out better for him than it did for Cody.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, the wrestling in there looked good. You know, when they had the fight scenes, I thought they looked very good, personally.
Yeah, I think that was one of the more interesting choices they went with the movie is just their handling of kayfabe.
Right.
Where you know, I kind of expected that we're in like the post kayfabe era and everyone's really out, that they would kind of, you know, just have it out in the open that the wrestling's a work, and there might be like small allusions to it.
Right.
But for the most part, they kind of just portrayed it like it was a legitimate sport. Like they didn't like, you know, say anything about determined finishes or like really have any dialogue about the wrestling being worked.
Right.
Which I'm interested why specifically they chose that.
Well, my guess would be is just like given the time era, you know, like the only real scene I remember them addressing it is one of the brothers had a scene with a love interest where they're, you know, talking, and she asked him about, you know, oh, isn't it fake? And he's like, no, it's real. And he kind of goes into like, you know, protecting the business, which I feel like is accurate of the time.
Yeah.
You know, and given a lot of kind of smaller details I feel like they could have added, which again, when we were leaving the theater, one of the things I mentioned is I kind of, you know, and this is just me being selfish, I would rather have this been like a mini series of like 6 to 8 shorter, at like 6 to 8 episodes, and like expanding it out or something, just because, you know, selfishly, there's so much meat on the bone they could have done, and there was a lot of stuff I wish they had kind of gone into a little bit more. But when you're doing a feature-length movie, there's only so much you can really give the proper time to.
Yeah, I definitely want to come back to that in a second.
Oh, you're coming back?
I'm
okay.
stuck on a thought.
Okay.
One of the parts where kayfabe kind of like peaked out was the post like Ric Flair match, where they didn't directly address that it was a work, but Ric Flair came in the back. It's like, let's go get beers, which that's probably the most Ric Flair thing that I feel like that character nailed. Was just kind of like the, that's cool, let's go party.
Yeah, right. Just having his priorities straight.
Yeah.
But man, seeing that guy do the fake Ric Flair promo, it just was not hitting.
It
but that Harley promo, the guy doing the Harley promo, that was hitting.
I do also think that backstage scene maybe took me out of it again. This is another like wrestling fan criticism where I was like, if they were wrestling against each other, they probably wouldn't have gone out for beers in public afterwards during that time frame.
Definitely.
You know?
I mean, not even in the same locker room, because they have the heel and the face locker room. So it just seems like it wouldn't have happened.
Again, it's like this is like where you're you're a little too close to the to the content. You know.
I think part of that is just, again, and I am not going to sit here and tell you that I'm an index of vintage wrestling. You know, there's so much I don't know, but I know enough to know there was little tiny things they could have fixed on, but they're banking on the majority of their audience not really knowing that.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like how I took a lot of the movie, was that like I feel like this is it has a lot more broad appeal than just for like wrestling fans. Like there's definitely enough stuff in it that we can kind of enjoy it on the level that a wrestling fan would like to enjoy it. But I feel like my girlfriend, who's very much like not a wrestling watcher, she claims that. She actually gets really mad because there's so much around it that she's absorbed so much in proximity to me. That she knows things. She knows like Aubrey Edwards' name is actually Brittany. Our other Mark friends don't know that.
I mean, but that's another level though, man, because knowing that, I only learned that recently.
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive, But, guys, we will take we'll do a little quick break and come right back, perhaps?
Yeah, we still got to talk about the actual tragedy unfolding.
Yeah, well, we don't want to give away the whole movie. We got to, I said,
okay. You want to do like the spoiler section of it? The hot spoiler section?
Well, guys, we'll take a quick break real quick, and we'll figure out what the second section is. But trust me, there will be a second section.
Okay.
This is your boy Houston from Chasing the Graph on Twitter and host of Over the Top Rope on YouTube. And you are listening to No Schway Out by my man Schway Nostalgia.
Hey guys, since I don't feel like doing a full ad, because you already know you should have already joined the Schway Wrestling Network and the Schway Wrestling Facebook group already, here is ASMR sounds of my bulldog, Morty, the pro hobby bulldog. That ASMR Morty the Bulldog beat was brought to you by Schway Nostalgia. So make sure to check out the Schway Wrestling Network on District and the Schway Facebook group. Also check out schwaynostalgia.com. Use code NOSHWAYOUT for 10% off your purchase. And now back to the podcast. Alright, hey guys, we're back with part 2. We're going to be doing a little bit of a spoiler section here, so if you don't want any spoilers, feel free to fast forward to the end or play it on mute so I still get a play on Spotify or wherever you're listening.
That's the look right there. That's the good look.
Even if you want to, you could just play my podcast on mute while you go to sleep and just have them all going over and over again if you want to.
As a trade secret, if I check someone's stuff out and I don't really like it, I'll kind of know, but I'm still going to let Bandcamp or Spotify play so they get the play because I support artists.
Oh, yeah, you got to support your friends' small businesses. If you're not going to do it, who's going to do it?
Exactly. How come we didn't share my shit?
Exactly. So All right, spoiler section. And again, guys, the whole story of this is well known. You can go watch the Dark Side of the Ring episode. I would highly suggest watching that episode and the entire series. It's really good. You could also Wikipedia this. One of the things that Ed and I seem to both agree on is we wish that the way they portrayed some of the deaths was a little bit different, because once the pain starts coming, it doesn't stop.
Yeah, the pacing during that period of time is really rapid, and like I said, I asked you when it came out, I was like, do we know like the time frame that these tragedies unfolded? Because is that a deliberate choice they did that, or is it just kind of like how they decided to edit it together?
So I would have to rewatch the Dark Side of the Ring episode, but I vaguely remember some of the details, especially in Mike and Carrie's death, being different than how it was portrayed in the movie, especially involving like Carrie's accident on how he lost his foot and other stuff like that. I wouldn't say it was a throwaway scene. It was just like a very interesting transition.
Yeah, it was kind of underhanded in there that he had that happen.
Yeah, it didn't seem like they touched on it a bit, but considering, how much that changed his life, you think they would go into it a little bit more. I also was kind of hoping they'd go into a little bit more, and again, time constraints, but him leaving and going to the WWF and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that was completely absent.
Yeah, just all of a sudden it's just like, and we're in the future, and you're like, oh, okay, interesting. Like, Carrie in particular is one of those characters that I think a lot of us probably had the most interest in because of his WWF run, and because he's the most known, I would say, of the Von Erichs.
Yeah.
At least in my experience.
Yeah, I mean, it took away a little bit from the impact in general, just like the nature of how they didn't really give time for each like tragedy to kind of like settle in.
Right.
And a lot of them came as a surprise. Like, I had to go to the bathroom during the middle of the movie, and I was like trying to pick my point, and I was like, oh, something terrible just happened.
Right.
I definitely have a chance to do it, and I left, and I was only gone for like maybe like 45 seconds, and then something else happens, and I'm like, wait, really?
Well, I remember you left, and you came back, and you sat down, and I like turned to you, and I just was like, hey, just so you know, Mike's in the hospital with a coma now. And he's like, sweet Jesus, I wasn't gone that long. And I'm like, I just trying to keep you up to date, bro, so you know what's going on.
Yeah, it did. It would have benefited from having a little more time to like let those sink in. Like, we talked off microphone about how it's like a wrestling mentality thing too, where it's like you hit a move and then you let the audience absorb it a little bit, and that makes it like substantial.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to Busted Open a lot, and one thing that, Mark Henry and Bully Ray and Tommy and them always preach, which I feel like sometimes, people say this all the time and it gets lost, is you can do less moves and get more. You got to let certain stuff breathe. If you do one thing, if you do a move, the person doesn't sell it, and you immediately go into your next move, they're not even going to really be able to fully appreciate the initial move you did.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of what happened with some of those tragic scenes in the movie, where you're kind of like, I wish I had a little bit longer to like absorb this, because David had a bit longer than the others, but after that it was just like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, it's it might just be like the nurse in me, but sometimes where something so macabre happens, but it happens in such a rapid fashion, like that almost borderlines on comedy, like where it's like things are getting so bad, but they happen in such like a throwaway fashion,
right?
That you're like, really? Like, what else can happen to this guy? I had that happen when I went to go see The Joker.
Oh, okay.
Where like at a certain point of that film, it's like I started being like, this is almost kind of funny that the amount of like horrible things you've stacked on this character.
Right.
Where now it's just like, did it really need to go that dark? It's just like, this isn't really, it's not even like, it's unnecessary past this point.
Yeah, at a certain point it's like, what are we really doing? And I don't know. I mean, again, I think that one of the main issues is that you're kind of limited to what I'd say it was about an hour and a half, an hour 45.
Yeah, I think it's probably like shy of 2 hours. I'm not sure what time we got out of there.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like a super long movie, which
It was
helpful.
and I know it sounds like we're probably complaining a lot, but I did enjoy the movie a lot. You know, there was a lot of great parts to it. The way they filmed the actual wrestling scenes, I thought was actually very well done.
Yeah, the cinematography was beautiful. That's one of the comments we made to the A24 guy on the way out. Was
Right.
like, I loved how like A24 does a really good job at like kind of choosing aspect ratios in a tasteful manner. Like this
Right.
wasn't really widescreen. I don't know enough about
Well-
cinema to say what aspect ratio was in, but it was
Right.
a little more of a throwback, like aspect ratio. It was a little grainier to kind of give you more of like that like
Vintage
late,
vibe.
yeah, 70s, 80s
Yeah.
vibe, but not so much that like it throws you off.
Yeah, I also like the intro scene they had too, where they come in and it's in black and white, and you see the dad going in. To be honest, looking like Gunther.
Yeah.
You know, just beating the crap out of people, doing the claw. Like, I thought it was extremely well done. Super random. I kind of wish that scene where Kerry got to win the NWA title, we got to see a little bit more past what they showed us.
They didn't even show him win, did they? They just like kind of showed him come back with the belt.
They had some stuff on the TV.
Oh, he's in the background.
Yeah, it was in the background on the TV, and they actually used some of the old. It looked like they used some old footage from that, as well as some old WWF footage later on. So like I said, I wish they had gone a little bit more into Kerry. But you know, with these movies, it's harder. It would have been great if they had been able to make it into like 6 to 10 episode miniseries and really go into everything. But you know, given the time constraints, given everything they have, I thought it was great. You know, I wouldn't be surprised to see. I don't think, you know, people were talking about Oscar buzz. I don't know about that. I would say that guy who was Kerry Von Erich, I could see maybe as best supporting actor, or
it'd be
possibly the dad, possibly getting some supporting actor stuff. But
like my mind's like spinning with all the stuff about Oscar buzz, because I'm like, you know, we pull away the curtain on the Oscar stuff. It's like, does A24 have the amount of money to pitch that?
yeah, a lot of that's about marketing. I mean,
it's marketing, but like studios like rally to get their films there, and it's like campaigning for an office or something like that. I mean, there's quality to the
it's
movies.
Like the Heisman Trophy too. It's a
Yeah.
lot of Italian money behind. I mean, for you, I know there's not tons of stuff, but as far as wrestling media, and when I mean media, I mean TV show, movie, like non-actual wrestling, like, you know, scripted, televised TV show, movie type stuff.
Yeah.
I know. So like for me, I would say it's probably, I'd put it after The Wrestler.
You put it above the wrestler?
After.
Oh, like so lower in tier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put The Wrestler as my top.
When you started going down this path here in my head, I was going like, well, that's the marker right there. The Wrestler is the mark. Like,
Such a good movie.
you know, just amazing movie. I feel like, you know, it got praise from normal folk and like wrestling fans alike, from wrestlers.
Right. I need to rewatch
You know.
that, to be honest. It's been way too long.
I'd be down to do a rewatch and like maybe keep this
Do
going
that.
at some point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I already told you about the other pod. I haven't talked to people about that. We're keeping that concept for my other pod I'm putting together under wraps, but that could also be something good for that.
If there's a good movie to rewatch, that would be high on my list.
Yeah, and I know people are gonna hate me for this. And I should have saved this for my other pod, but I've never seen Ready to Rumble.
I just rewatched that on YouTube like a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I saw literally the end though, but I've never
It'll bring you
seen it.
back.
Yeah.
It'll bring you back. It's
Yeah.
be like you're back in the Monday Night Wars.
Oh my god, dude. I don't know. In the future, if they ever make movies about that, I think that'd be cool. Having said that, seeing some of the people they cast in Young Rock didn't give me too much enthusiasm about that.
This movie is above Young Rock.
It's
from what
definitely
I've
above
seen.
Young
Definitely
Rock.
above Young Rock.
And definitely above Heels too. I did enjoy Heels, but I'd put it above Heels.
I have not watched Heels.
I saw the first season. They canceled it after season 2. I heard season 2 was better. It has our boy Pepsi Phil in it, as well as AJ Lee. I thought it was good, but we're getting totally off track, sidetracked here. As far as Iron Claw, personally, I would give it a, I need to rewatch it
I would say I'd give it about a B. Me, it would be like a lower B, but it would still be a B.
I think that's fair. Like if I'm going like numerically, I would probably put it like maybe like a 8.1 or 8.2.
I mean, that's a low B.
Yeah, that's I guess it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, it's a low
Just
B.
let me get into those like decimal points there.
No, you're good. I mean, I put you on the spot. You know, I
always feel bad. Like ranking art is always a hard thing for me.
It is.
It gives people some metric.
And again, if we didn't know so much, I feel like I'd possibly have rated it higher. It's just one of those things where it's like, I've watched The Dark Side of the Ring several times. I've looked into this on Google and done deep searches and blah, 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 all that. I will say this is randomly coming back to my mind. That scene after David dies and you see Kevin pick up that postcard that David wrote him in Japan. I thought that was really well done, personally.
Yeah, I mean, if we were to talk about like any type of like award talk for this movie,
right?
It's like it would definitely be like I think cinematography,
right?
I think like set and costume design, and then also just like the soundtrack and audio design. You know, like the audio of it was like kind of like really kind of like compressed sounding, which I think kind of added to like the atmosphere of the movie itself. Like the whole movie seems like it was like smushed in front of you, which I wish I was able to better encapsulate what I'm trying to say. But I feel like that's accurate, right?
Hey, I mean, you're the professional musician. I'm gonna take your opinion.
Yeah, but I'm a drummer. That's like we're the guy that hangs out with musicians.
I don't know what that means. I don't know the context of that. To me, you're a musician. You're like, yeah, I'm a drummer. I'm like, so you keep the beat?
I mean, I do read music. I just want to take the piss on myself a little bit. So,
okay, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I thought that was really great. I mean, I think the, they had a few notable soundtrack choices. They had Tom Sawyer by Rush.
Yeah, they had budget. They had budget for music for sure.
That's why I know you have budget when you play Tom Sawyer and you play like a large chunk of it. I was going like, okay, and they used it really well.
They did.
That was a fantastic like transition into it. Like I think they used it better than I've seen like other films with like Marvel money use it. It was very substantial.
Or the first season of Shameless.
Yeah, that was a good conversation. So if you guys want to hear a little bit of joke or just a funny story,
and for the record, just before you say it, everyone here calls me Schway. There's no governments. Just letting you know, no government.
So Schway, we were talking about Shameless. I'm not even sure how we got on the topic exactly. Oh, because
the topic is that I don't know why. We were talking about music choices or something, and I just said that whoever picked the music for Shameless did a terrible job, because there was a scene that I saw in the first season where William H. Macy is crying in a corner and they're playing Show Goes On by Lupe Fiasco, and this man Ed starts cackling, and I'm like, what's so funny? And he's like, my band's music was on Shameless.
Yeah, it was on the 11th season twice.
Yeah, but that's season 11. See, I was on season 1, and I gave up after that scene.
Yeah, like they might have a different music director by that period of time, but I was like, damn, she's brutal.
I know.
It's
dude,
like, man, whoever picks the music for that?
And it's like
just garbage.
Of all shows I picked too, it's the one that he's on, and I'm like, fuck, man. If I had known, I just would have shut up and kept it to myself.
I mean, I did nothing but find it hilarious.
So, there's that. Any final thoughts you're feeling on Iron Claw while we're here? Anything that you feel like the people should know?
Man, I'm happy to see A24 or like clamoring for this kind of story. I think it's totally worth watching. I think I would love to see this get received better so that we can see more studios that kind of attack these stories. We've seen Dark Side of the Ring that there is like a audience for it that's beyond just wrestling. So it's like there are other stories that could have equally or maybe better treatments
Oh my god.
in the future.
Dude, just think about all the movies they could make just by Dark Side of the Ring. I feel like Dark Side of the Ring
Yeah.
has definitely started something where people see value in wrestling content past just WWE, AEW weekly programming, in terms of like, even you see WWE doing documentaries now for their people to show a brighter side and not make everything depressing. And then you're seeing Heels came out since then.
Yeah.
And you're seeing a lot more scripted, like Young Rock, a lot of scripted wrestling shows are coming out now because people see there's value in it.
Yeah, that's part of like WWE's kind of like aspirations of business models. Like, they don't want to just be like a wrestling company, they want to be
No.
a media company. You know, that's why we've had WWE films and
Triple H said it best. They're trying to be the Walt Disney of wrestling.
Yeah.
And they already are. I mean, look at all the characters they have. It makes sense. They're trying to do that. But the thing is, though, everything with them is going to have a nice, pretty spin and everything. They're not going to tell you about hard times, baby, or anything like that. You know, it's all the positive, everything in a good light. So it's important to have these other stories.
which is a lot like Disney does.
Right. I will say, I think you made a good point when we left and earlier in the podcast, which is perhaps don't watch The Dark Side of the Ring before you see the movie.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
I would
personally.
unpack it afterwards and
Yeah,
kind of go like,
maybe-
oh,
Maybe rewatch it after you watch the movie,
like,
because there's certain little, like, for example, I believe, and you know, if you don't know, we can always figure that out. But I'm pretty sure David Von Erich's nickname was the Texas Rose,
ooh, yeah, I wouldn't even.
and they
even know
didn't
that.
bring that up once.
If
you know-
if you watch the documentary before watching this,
You're gonna
movie,
nitpick.
Yeah, it's like reading the novel before you go to see the movie. It's
Right.
like the image that you create in your head, you have a lot more time to like
Oh my
sink it
god,
in.
I
You're gonna
become
ruin
that guy.
it. No,
Do you remember that when I was a kid?
I've
Like-
never heard you brag about reading.
Oh my god, this guy. No, like, there's always that person where it's like you'll see a movie and then they're like, the book is better, or you listen to an album and it's like, oh, their earlier albums were better. Like, I never want to be that guy.
Yeah, discriminating against dyslexic people, basically.
Oh my god.
It's like, oh, you didn't read it? Like, well, like, you know, it's hard for me. I don't.
Yeah, it's hard, dude. Yo, that's, if you want to talk about, that's a whole nother story. I'm not gonna get into it. I learned to read late, bro. That shit was hard for me. No lie.
Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah, no, I had to learn a whole different way. It was wild. I'm probably dyslexic. I have no fucking idea. So yeah, Iron Claw, go see it. I highly enjoyed it. Again, it probably came off as complaining since we're nitpicking random stuff, but to be honest, cinematography was great. The movie's great.
The way they handled the wrestling was great. The choreography was amazing.
Right.
I think like I almost like a passing comment was like, was it Lily Adams was in it?
Right.
Like that's a. I
Is
think
it
she's a
Lily
British.
Allen, right? Lily Allen?
Is it Allen? I thought Lily Allen is
Passenger,
like the.
Basic, the singer?
Yeah, that's the singer. It
Uh-oh.
is Lily James.
Oh,
we
we
were both wrong.
We both messed up.
We were both wrong.
She did well though.
I think she's like a English actress and like just nailed the dialect for that. It wasn't over the top. It was just like you could not like.
I find it so funny how we always have super random foreigners playing like super duper heartland American type roles. Like, there's not random white women we can find from around the country to play this role.
You could see linguists break this down.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how close like Southern accents are kind of, you know, in the U.S. kind of held as being, oh, it sounds like it's like a draw and like it's kind of slow and
Yeah.
like in movies are kind of portrayed as like kind of dopey sometimes, but
Right.
like those accents are actually closer to like the original like accents they had when people immigrated. Like they're closer to English than they are to U.S. English.
Interesting.
You know, like it's you can research it on your own, but
So
like
you're saying that I've been pretentious this whole time for nothing, and I'm the real fraud.
we all have schemas that we have to overcome. You know,
Yeah.
with Southern accents, like, you know, it's actually probably closer to like English,
Oh.
British English
Okay.
than you'd expect. So it might actually be easier for someone from like, you know, Liverpool or something like that to come over and do that accent than it would be for them to do like Boston.
Interesting.
You know?
Yeah, I have to say my southern accent is terrible. What, you're gonna make me do it? Is that what you're looking
No,
at?
I was going like, so we're kind of south of Mason-Dixon, so like we technically do have
Bruh,
southern accents.
We don't have. Okay, first of all, that's a whole nother thing. But nobody considered DC no damn south, and no one considered DC north. We're just kind of stuck in the middle of all the schmuckery, and we don't really get anything. I don't even have a damn representative or a senator, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, that'd be the fourth or fifth podcast.
We came here to talk about Iron Claw, and we keep going on random tangents about other shit. So
it's all important. This
it's
all helps
important.
you unpack the movie.
Yeah. Oh, also, while we're here, I actually pointed out to Ed, we saw MLW featherweight champion Janae Kai, who also came to the premiere. I told her I appreciated her work. Ed said I could have done a better job at conveying that to her, but that's okay. I at least let her know she does great stuff. I'm a fan. We actually, I don't know if I went with you, but she actually opened one of the AEW matches I saw where the
I'm pretty sure we
Mystics
saw
play
her
on Southeast. You know what I mean?
I don't remember. I definitely seen her do a dark.
Yeah, she did a dark match.
Yeah.
And Trisha Adora did too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that same one.
It wasn't a criticism, just encouragement. Be like, people are friendly for the most part,
Yeah. I was just trying to let her do her thing with her friends without bothering her or asking for nothing. I just wanted to let her know I appreciated her work. And as I say in my stream, if I ever got a chance, I'd take her to a fine steak dinner if I ever had the opportunity.
Yeah, I think like one of the tips of advice pieces of advice I've gotten from people is like compliments are compliments. Like sometimes you have a little more success if you're like specific.
Yeah.
Right? Because like I get people that come up to me all like at shows and they're like, "Oh, I love your band." I'm like, I love hearing it.
Yeah.
Absolutely do love hearing it. But like, what am I supposed to say other than like thank you? Like, because you don't give anyone anything to bite off of. If you say like, "I love your work. I saw you with this one match," you're like a little more specific. And it's like, "I like your gimmick or your angle." You give them something to kind of like feed back onto you.
So to counter, in my defense, she was with one or two of her friends who she was already in mid conversation with. So I just was like, I'm not trying to.
Do you think that was like she was with a short king there?
Yes. I don't know. That could have been a friend or it could have been a short king. Either way, it's none of my business. She was doing her thing. I didn't want to, in a perfect world, if she was chilling there and she wasn't talking to someone, then yeah, I might be like, "Hey, I remember seeing you at AEW Dark, big fan, blah, blah, blah." But when people are mid-conversation, I was like, let me tell you I appreciate your work and I'm a fan, and then I'll leave you the fuck alone. And then, in the future, perhaps, if we say hi or whatever, that would be cool. But my worst case scenario is I don't want to look like one of them motherfuckers who are at the airport hounding people for autographs with the poster board and all that shit. And just
you'd have to keep a lot of cards on you.
As much as I like Janae Kai, and again, I would ask her out for a nice steak dinner. It's too specific. Excuse me, way too specific.
I just happen to have this Janae.
For me. Yeah, it's like, "Hey, Janae, fun fact, I have 20 cards on this random poster board since I knew you were going to show up at this random ass screening of Iron Claw in downtown DC."
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's to me, I'd rather do too little than do too much. If that makes sense.
Well, now you're just not doing anything.
Exactly, yeah, soon we're not doing anything. All right, anyways, guys, Iron Claw, great movie. I'm going to try to see it again. I'm definitely going to rewatch The Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah.
Was it perfect? No. Was there things they could have done better? Hell yeah. Again, there's only so much time in a movie. I hope that maybe in the future, people redo stuff all the time. Maybe in the future we'll get they could do a short series or something on that or another story. There's so many great stories on Dark Side of the Ring, and I shouldn't say great. They're kind of depressing.
Technically, us seeing the premiere, I'm not sure if they're going to be adapting it after it or
not. No. But bro, people adapt stuff later on all the time. Like people get reworked and redone, and
there'll be the theatrical cut, then there'll be the streaming.
They'll probably have a musical at some point. It's Zac Efron. He has experience in musicals. Which, by the way, That man's chin was looking crazy the whole fucking movie. Super random,
Oh,
but
that's like you could do a whole podcast just on Zac
The Crimson
Efron's,
Chin.
his
physique.
his evolution to Mega Chad.
Man was
territory.
yoked.
I think they said that like he said that he had some kind of accident. They restructured his jaw, but it's just it coincides with him also just becoming absolutely yoked. So it's like HGH also does that.
Well, I do. Okay, super random, but him and what was it Jeremy Allen White? Is that his name?
Yeah, I think
Both of them, it sounds like, would be open to possibly wrestling in the future too. So hopefully, maybe they do a short run with either AEW or WWE.
whoever's got the money, I think they could at least do a match. Like I said, like there have been like less substantial guest spots.
Stephen Amal, shout out the Arrow.
Yeah, you're just gonna run into the same problem you have because those are two pretty high-profile actors right now,
Right.
And like
Well,
movies are insured, so
Zach said he would be open to it, and he's friends with MJF from the. I mean, well, I shouldn't say friends, but they're, they work together on the thing. If MJF could come out, Lord knows AEW needs it right now.
yeah, that whole we're gonna pack that on a different podcast where AEW's at right now.
Well, I briefly touched on it. By the time this podcast release, I'll have released my CM Punk episode, so I touch on that ever so briefly.
Tony's got money. He needs to start. AEW should become the next Disney.
Fuck it, I was hoping he'd buy WWE. Anyways, we're getting way too sidetracked, guys. Go check out Iron Claw. Shout out 824 for sending me the free tickets. Shout out my guy Ed. Ed, I appreciate you coming on and guesting with me on here, man, and talking all that. Would you like to plug anything while you're here? Tell people about you and your small business and all the cool stuff you guys have been doing.
Yeah, small business. We're a punk band from DC.
That's still a small business. Wait,
We are. We're on the map now.
Is he from DC?
The IRS is aware of us.
Is he living in DC?
Oh yeah, that's a secret trade secret. There is that like none of us actually live in DC anymore, even though we're a DC based band.
There you go.
But that's one of the most DC things you can do.
Yeah, I was about to say
is that no one like really lives in the actual district.
Yeah,
the closest you get with a lot of people is they live like in like the 495 area, but vast majority of them are big like stride off topic.
Yeah.
We're a band. We have a lot of stuff coming out. We have a.
Why don't you tell them the name of your band again, Ro?
Teen Mortgage.
Okay, cool.
We also will respond to Teenage Mortgage.
I've actually
say it.
I've said that before too, and I felt like a jackass.
I recognize it.
Yeah.
I understand that's how we named it, and it's a likely mistake to happen.
Okay.
We have an LP coming out. It's the first time we've ever pressed vinyl. That's going to be everything that we've done on our record label, King Pizza Records, plus some new tracks.
And that's also up for pre-order right now
as
well, guys. You can check it out on their Spotify too.
Yeah, we have links to our Shopify on Spotify. There's some limited vinyl that you can only get through our Shopify. That's not going to be available for retail. If you want any of the color variants, those are almost sold out. And then, as we touched on before, we have a lot of things planned for 2024. A lot of them are in the works. Some of the things I haven't announced yet. But one of the biggest things that we did announce is that we're going to be doing a 6-date arena run opening for Smashing Pumpkins and Weezer in June. Arena. And 2 of them were sold out when we announced. London's looking a little slim, so
with that attitude,
we're looking like it's looking a little slim. Like there aren't a lot of seats left. So
okay. I was about to say slim. I thought it was looking a little empty. It's good to hear it's that kind of slim.
It's that kind of slim. So if you happen to be at one of those shows, you can see us playing music while Weezer and Smashing Pumpkins fans get their snacks and drinks.
Oh yeah, there you go. And guys, fun fact too, I actually saw Teen Mortgage play in DC live, actually at the pizza restaurant where Pizzagate happened. Fun fact, if you don't know what that is, look up Pizzagate. And they played the Steiner Math promo before their set, which I feel like I was one of the few people in that room who truly appreciated it, but boy did I appreciate it.
Yeah, I like looking out of the curtain whenever we do that, because you always see there's a few people that get it. It's worth it just for them.
Oh yeah. So okay, he's doing arena shows. He has a whole bunch of cool shit for sale, including t-shirts, all that. I also have shirts for sale, SchwayNostalgia.com in a million years. Check me out on Whatnot. Check me out the Schway Wrestling Network. And thanks, everybody.
Well, guys, that was episode 5 of the No Schway Out podcast. I wanted to thank my friend Ed from the band Teen Mortgage. If you like punk rock or if you like my taste in music, check it out. It's definitely worth a listen. Shout out A24 for the free tickets to the early screening. Definitely go check out Iron Claw, guys. Definitely worth your time, and I appreciate you guys listening, and we're gonna play it out with a little more Morty ASMR sounds. If you guys don't like this next time, let me know. I won't do it again. I just thought it was funny. But anyways, appreciate you guys. Thanks again, and I hope you guys have a great weekend.